Hey friends, tonight we stumble into the gritty, glorious, and often completely unhinged world of the Silk Road, where every business idea is terrible, every camel has an attitude, and somehow, one unfortunate traveler keeps turning dust and regret into accidental revolutions. So before you unpack your invisible backpack and uncork that bottle of overpriced desert air, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, but only if you actually enjoy watching history unravel with extra drama and a side of goat-related chaos. And hey, let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is, especially if you're currently considering quitting your job to sell bottled wind. We've all been there. Now, dim the lights, maybe wrap yourself in something that doesn't smell like fermented yak butter, and let's slide into tonight's journey together, where our unnamed hero joins a caravan and immediately regrets everything. Welcome to the Silk Road, where dreams go to die so that you've decided to become a Silk Road merchant. Congratulations, brave soul. You've officially lost your mind, your savings, and probably your kidneys in the next 3 months. But sure, pack that big merchant energy. Who needs stability when you can chase spicy death across deserts with a camel that hates you? You probably pictured this journey like something off a Netflix documentary. Camels trotting majestically over golden dunes, lanterns swaying in the twilight breeze, exotic spices whispering sweet profits into your ear. Spoiler alert, none of that is real. Instead, you're signing up for 4,000 miles of heat stroke, camel spit in the eye, and at least one emotional breakdown per mountain pass. But let's rewind. Let's start with why you're doing this. Maybe you're after money. Maybe you saw a guy in silk shoes and thought, hey, I want to comfort too. Or maybe you're running from something, like taxes, or that time you accidentally set fire to your cousin's rice granary. Or maybe, just maybe, you're one of those fools with ambition. Either way, you scrape together some silver, slap together a caravan made of one suspiciously lazy camel, 2 guards who were definitely not background checked, and 1 translator who swears he's fluent but thought latrine meant God's blessing in Persian. And off you go, into the wide, wondrous, wildly homicidal death funnel known as the Silk Road. 1260C, the year of Please Don't Kill Me. You couldn't have picked a more dramatic year. The Mongol Empire is doing that thing empires do, expanding like yeast in a hot bakery. From China to Hungary, Mongol boots are stomping, Mongol swords are swinging, and Mongol tax collectors are discovering new ways to charge you for breathing. Historians call it the Pax Mongolica, Mongol peace. Sounds fancy, right? Wrong. It just means the bandits that stab you now wear uniforms and carry paperwork. So when you die, it's legal. But hey, trade is booming. Silk is hot, saffron's hotter, and cloves are worth more than your entire extended family combined. So naturally, you, a reasonable adult with hopes and dreams, think this is the right time to risk your life in the name of capitalism. Oh, sweet summer child. The road that isn't a road. Let's clear this up. The Silk Road is not a road. It is not paved. It is not marked. It is not even one thing. It's a chaotic spaghetti mess of dusty goat trails, broken mountain paths, and contradictory rumors. Every map is just a guess drawn by a monk with early-stage heatstroke. Every shortcut is just a longer route with more bandits and fewer regrets. And every guide learned his navigation skills by drinking fermented yak milk and pointing randomly. You can head north through the steppes, where the wind peels your skin off like an onion. Or south, through Persia, where the terrain is 70% rocks, 30% curses. All roads lead somewhere, mostly to your funeral. The caravan of future trauma. Now you might be thinking, at least I won't be alone. Ah, ha ha ha. Welcome to your caravan, aka the world's saddest reality show on wheels. It's a glorious circus of other merchants with more money and better camels, hired muscle with a side hustle and betrayal, a monk who chants all day but snores like a dying cow, and a translator who keeps mixing up hello with your mother smells like onions. Caravans are built on the noble principle of safety in numbers. In practice, this means more diseases to share, more drama over who stole whose apricots, and 100% guaranteed someone will fart during prayer hour and blame the camels. You'll learn to sleep with one eye open, not for fear of wolves, no. For fear of that one guy named David who keeps accidentally leaning too close to your coin pouch. The language barrier and how it might kill you. Everyone's speaking something different, and you're lucky if you understand 10% of what's going on. You say a joke in one dialect, and it translates to your goat is unholy. Now you're in a theological dispute with a man whose religion has no word for mercy. Your translator nervously whispers, maybe just stop talking. Wise advice. Silence is golden, especially when the alternative is being bludgeoned with a dried sandal for blasphemy. Yes, the prophets that don't exist. You set off with dreams of silk and gold. You imagined arriving in the city, spreading out your goods, and watching the coins roll in like waves. Instead, here's how it goes. Week 1. Your spices spill and now smell like camel sweat. Week 2. Your glassware breaks when your camel accidentally sits on it. Week 3. You find out saffron is out of fashion. Everyone wants indigo this season. Week 4. A rival merchant undersells you so hard, you consider buying from him. You try haggling. They laugh. You lower the price. They yawn. Eventually, you're offering everything for a boiled onion and the guy still wants a discount. Spoiler alert, you are not Marco Polo. Forget romantic stories of cultural exchange and majestic diplomacy. You're not Marco Polo. Your Marco probably died in the desert. You're limping across terrain that hates your face, surrounded by strangers who think you're annoying and animals that would eat you if you collapsed. You're not building bridges between east and west. You're trying not to get explosive diarrhea from sketchy goat stew. The food, if you can call it that, your options include goat, goaty goat, goaty goat stewed in goat milk. Occasionally, you'll score a dried apricot that turns into wine in your bag. When morale drops, you drink it and pretend everything's fine. It's not. You're chewing what might be leather. You've stopped asking questions. That meat might have looked back at you once. You eat it anyway. The nights, aka the real horror story. You think sleeping under the stars sounds poetic? Try doing it in a sandstorm while your camel screams because it saw a wolf. Your translator mutters prayers in 4 languages. You lie awake, wondering if saffron is really worth your soul. Every breeze brings sand into your ears, nose, socks, and unresolved childhood trauma. You've slept in worse places. Sure, but this one moans at night, and there's a weird guy who's been staring at your boots since sundown. You consider tying them to your chest before you sleep, just in case. Summary of your first week. You've been robbed twice. You've been blessed by a monk who might have cursed you. You've lost a tooth on a piece of flatbread. You now have 3 emotional support apricots, and your camel farts whenever you say the word oasis. And this, dear trader, is only the beginning. So smile. Grip your satchel. Whisper sweet nothings to your coin pouch. Because the Silk Road doesn't care how ambitious you are. It only cares if you'll make a good skeleton for future archaeologists to misidentify. The Taklamakan Desert. All you can suffer buffet. Welcome to the Taklamakan Desert, affectionately known as the Desert of Death. Go in, don't come out. And why did I think this was a good idea? By now, your lips are cracked, your camel hates you, and your translator is either hallucinating or trying to flirt with a rock. Doesn't matter. You're entering the single worst sandbox ever built by nature. 130,000 square miles of sand, lies, and slowly dying dreams. You thought you were ready? Buddy, your boots are held together by prayer and goat snot. Let's begin. Taklamakan. Because hell needed a backup location, this desert doesn't even try to be subtle. It doesn't whisper danger. It shouts it through sandstorms. Nothing here wants you to live. Not the land, not the wind, not the cursed camel chewing its own foot in protest. The locals. Don't call it the place where you lose everything including your will to live just for fun. They call it that because they buried their cousins here, and you're walking into it like you're about to find enlightenment. Ha. Your camels are officially over it by now. Your camels, aka the beastly mood boards of misery, have given up pretending to like this job. Bactrian camels, you were told. 2 humps, built for survival. What they didn't tell you. They're powered by hatred and spite. They scream like someone's committing tax fraud in their ears. They look at you like you owe them child support. You try to load one with bags of saffron and lapis lazuli. It sits down and farts in your direction. You kick some sand. It kicks harder. At your confidence. By day 3 in the desert, you and your camel have developed a silent, toxic marriage. You give it water. It gives you attitude. You call it moonwalker. It tries to bite you. Sand. It's in places you didn't know existed. Sand here isn't like beach sand. No. This sand enters your soul. It scrapes your skin raw, sneaks into your tent, replaces your body lotion with exfoliation from Satan. You try to protect your face with a scarf. The sand goes through it like a gossip through a family dinner. Your food? Gritty. Your teeth? Gritty. Your thoughts? Gritty. You wipe your eyes. More sand. You blink. Sand. You sneeze. Surprise. Sandblast sinus cleanse. At this point, you suspect you're 20% person, 80% beige powder. The storm that made you consider becoming a rock one afternoon, just as you're adjusting to the feeling of baking alive on low heat, the desert decides to throw a tantrum. The sky turns yellow, then brown, then disappears entirely. You hear the first scream, not from a person, from your camel. Then the wind hits, like being slapped by 1,000 flying cheese graters. Sand slashes your face. Your eyes burn. You cover your mouth with a scarf. Too late, your lungs are hosting a sand party. You grab your bag. You lose a water skin. You lose your camel. You scream. The desert eats the sound. You stumble forward, clutching your spices like they're a flotation device. You finally collapse behind a boulder that probably also hates you. After hours of chaos and regrets, the wind dies. You're alive. Barely. But your optimism didn't make it. RIP. Hope. You were soft and didn't belong here anyway. Skeletons. The only thing that sticks around. As you push through dunes, you start noticing the bones. Lots of them. Rib cages half buried. Skulls peeking through dust. Someone whispers, "They say the desert preserves bodies." You whisper back, That's not comforting, Idris. Sometimes you find a mummy. Sometimes you find a boot. Sometimes you find your own morale lying on its side, twitching. Your guide solemnly says, "We must pray for them." You're like, "Can we pray for me instead?" He doesn't laugh, because no one laughs in the Taklamakan. Except maybe the spirits. Oh, right. The spirits. Ghost stories and sand-based hallucinations. People say there are voices here. Not in your head, in the wind, calling your name. You brush it off until you hear it again. Rashid, Rashid. Your name's not even Rashid, but you panic anyway. You see shadows on ridgelines, dancing lights in the distance. A camel tries to walk into a mirage. You don't stop it. It deserves the break point. One of your guards starts talking to his own boots. Another is convinced the lizard he saw is his reincarnated uncle. You've entered the too tired to question reality phase. And it's only day 6. Desert by day, freezer by night, and just when you thought the sun was the enemy. Surprise! Night falls. Suddenly, the world turns from a burning pit to a cold slap of betrayal. The temperature drops so fast your teeth try to escape. You wrap every piece of cloth around yourself. You look like a sad burrito full of regret. You try to sleep, but your nose freezes shut. Your camel snores like a plague victim, and a guy next to you is definitely faking sleep to steal your apricots. You dream of warm soup. You wake up with frost on your eyebrows and a mysterious bite mark on your ankle. You're not sure if it's a bug or the monk. You don't ask. Water? What water? Every step is a countdown to dehydration. You ration your water so carefully you make your camel go first. You boil snow. You drink from streams that smell like despair. You pretend tea made from dried leaves and salt is hydrating. It's not. Your lips are so dry they peel when you try to smile. So you stop smiling. Forever. Someone offers you fermented mare's milk. You drink it. You immediately regret every life decision that led to this. You'd rather lick a cactus. At least cacti don't curdle in your stomach. The oasis that may or may not exist. Then, just when you're ready to lie down and let the sand absorb your sins, someone shouts, "Trees!" You blink. And there it is. A smear of green. A shimmer of water. You hesitate. Is it real? Is it another mirage? You don't care. You nudge your camel. It glares at you, then moves. You arrive at the oasis, trembling, dust-covered, and emotionally bankrupt. You sip actual water. You see actual shade. You hear birds that aren't screaming. You don't smile. You just sit in the dirt, hands trembling, eyes wide. Because deep down, this was the easy part. Mountains of madness. Altitude, ice, and instant regret. So, you survived the Taklamakan desert. Barely. You're sunburnt, sand-filled, spiritually dehydrated, and still somehow optimistic enough to believe things can't get worse. Wrong. Because now you see them. The mountains, towering, jagged, snow-dusted monsters poking the sky like giant middle fingers pointed directly at you. Welcome to the Pamir Mountains, also known as the roof of the world, where lungs go to die, and that place where even camels cry. Let's begin your next lesson in why the Silk Road was a horrible idea. You thought walking was bad? Try vertical walking in snow while dying. The path doesn't wind through the mountains. Oh no, it goes straight up their spine, as if the Silk Road was planned by a sadistic goat with a flair for high-altitude murder. The trail is Narrow, icy, angled at 80 degrees. It's not a road. It's a slippery ledge masquerading as a trade route. You slip. Your camel slips. Everyone curses in 6 languages. Your legs begin trembling after 20 minutes. By hour 2, you're walking like a toddler in a wind tunnel. By the end of the first day, you have a new medical condition called mountain regret syndrome. Symptoms include spontaneous crying and yelling at rocks. The oxygen situation. There isn't one. You thought the desert sucked? Try breathing at 4,000 meters. Your lungs scream, your chest squeezes. Your thoughts slow down like a bad internet connection. At first, it's just a headache, then nausea, then dizziness so severe you start mistaking your own camel for a rescue angel named Kevin. Your guide says you'll acclimate. He says this while sprinting up a cliff barefoot with a chicken under one arm. You stare at him, wheezing like a broken accordion, and mentally assign him the title of lying forest goblin. You try to drink water. It freezes. You try to eat dried meat. It shatters. You try to breathe. Your lungs say, "Not today, sinner." Weather. Nature's mood swings on steroids in the morning. Sunshine and butterflies. By noon. Sleet. By sunset. Snowstormed. By midnight. A frozen existential crisis and the scent of roasted goat you imagined. Your boots are soaked. Your clothes are stiff. Your hair has frozen into a shape that could legally be classified as a war crime. You light a fire. It dies. You light another. The wind eats it. You huddle with your translator for warmth. He asks if this is love. You say, "No, it's survival." You both cry. For heat. Sleeping? Ha, that's funny. You sleep curled in a rocky crevice under 2 blankets that smell like fermented sheep despair. Your feet are numb. Your back is numb. Your soul is numb. You dream of warm beds and real soup and bathrooms that don't involve squatting near an avalanche zone. But mostly you dream of oxygen. Then you wake up because someone's goat fell off a cliff, and the whole camp's yelling. You consider throwing yourself after the goat. At least that would be quick. Camels. The true villains of the Silk Road. You'd think camels would be used to this terrain. Nope. They walk like drunk accountants. They glare at you like this entire expedition was your idea, which, okay, fair. They freeze. They sit. They pout. Point 1 starts foaming at the mouth in protest. You consider joining it. Eventually, someone suggests switching to yaks for the narrow passes. You meet a yak that looks like a depressed sofa with horns. You strap your silk to it and pray. The yak walks 3 steps, then stops to contemplate the meaning of life. For 3 hours, spiritual shrines and silent screams along the way. You see stone piles, colorful flags, and suspiciously placed bones. Shrines. People leave coins, offerings, bits of cloth. Some leave entire wheels of cheese. You think, how wholesome, until your guide casually explains, these are here to appease the mountain spirits so they don't throw you off a cliff. Oh, you contribute the last of your cinnamon and a very panicked prayer. You bow twice, then once more just in case. That night, your camel doesn't spit at you. You consider it a miracle. Everything hurts, especially trust. You reach a ridge. The path splits. One way leads down. The other? Straight into a cloud that smells like broken promises. Your guide hesitates. You ask, which way? He says, I think it's this one. You think. He shrugs. Your rage rises, then vanishes because rage takes energy and you haven't had real calories since the apricot incident 2 towns ago. You follow anyway, because what else can you do? Vote, passing other caravans. AKA the silent fellowship of the doomed. Occasionally, you pass another group. They look like you, ragged, frostbitten, and emotionally unstable, and no one speaks. You just nod at a universal nod that says, "I see you, fellow idiot." One of them points ahead and makes a gesture. You think it means good luck. You later learn it means the bridge is out and there are wolves. You send that man a silent curse and trip on a loose rock for dramatic effect. The altitude hallucinations begin by week 2. You've stopped being a merchant. You are now a sentient bag of aching joints. You argue with your own hat. You name the icicles on your beard. You cry over a piece of burned barley because it looked like your childhood dog. You hear your mother's voice. Only it's your camel, wheezing beside you. You ask if this is the end. The camel doesn't answer. You take that as a yes. Then, you descend one day, miraculously. The road slopes downward. Real downward. You slide on your butt. You trip over rocks. You crash into a yak. But you don't care. Because for the first time in weeks you can breathe. Air floods your lungs like liquid gold. You gulp. You cough. You laugh. You make eye contact with your guard. He's crying. You high-five him in slow motion. Your camel farts approvingly. You reach the base of the mountain, cold, cracked, and full of trauma. But alive. Barely. You are not the same person anymore. You have frostbite in places you don't want to discuss, a fear of goats you can't explain, and a profound hatred for altitudes above 10 feet. But more than anything, you've changed. You've become a creature of the Silk Road, paranoid, frostbitten, emotionally numb, but still trading. And that, my friend, is the most terrifying part. Because this journey isn't over. It never is. Bandits, bribes, and betrayal. Welcome to the people problem. You've survived the desert. You didn't die in the mountains. You still have most of your limbs and only minor emotional damage. You think, hey, maybe I've passed the worst of it. Hiya. Because while the terrain may have tried to kill you with nature, now it's the human's turn. Welcome to the next level of Silk Road suffering. Other people. Specifically, bandits who look like friendly traders until 2 a.m. Guards who think inspection means confiscation with extra judgment. Caravan members with twitchy fingers and zero morals. And the ancient art of bribery, backstabbing, and boot theft. Let's unpack your descent into paranoia. And possibly crime. Bandits. Now hiring. Must love apricots and ambushes. Forget everything you know about bandits. They're not just dudes in black masks jumping from behind a rock shouting, "Give me your stuff." No, Silk Road bandits are creative. They're the smiling villagers who ride alongside you for 2 days, the traveling monk who offers you fermented yogurt and a bedtime prayer, the teenage kid you gave raisins to, who later steals your camel. They don't just take your goods. They take your trust in humanity, blend it with goat milk, and throw it back in your face. You sleep one night with your boots off. Just once. They're gone by morning. So is one of your guards. So is your pouch of silver. And so is that hopeful glimmer in your eyes. The unofficial toll booth. Experience. You're finally approaching a peaceful-looking village when, surprise, 3 men block your path. They're wearing armor. Sort of. They carry flags. Crooked ones. They smile. That's the worst part. Tax collection. They say. You ask, from who? They say, from you. You ask, under what law? They say, the law of having very sharp spears. You pay. Obviously point 2 pouches of copper, a bolt of silk, and your translator's lunch. They give you a red stamped slip of leather that probably says, Sucker number 8 in Old Mongolian. You move on a little poorer. Your camel looks disappointed. You apologize. It sneezes on your scarf. Guards, worse than bandits, but with hats. Checkpoint guards along the Silk Road have one job: make your life miserable. They inspect your cart with the enthusiasm of someone who knows you're hiding cinnamon. They ask questions like, where did you get this saffron? Is this glass real? Are you or have you ever been a sorcerer? You say no. They say, suspicious. Suddenly your dried apricots are contraband. Your paper is treasonous literature. And your translator's pet chicken is unlicensed livestock. You pay the fine. Again. This time, 3 silver coins, a decorative spoon, and a small but meaningful portion of your will to live. They let you through. You whisper thank you. One guard says, I'll be seeing you again. You do not sleep that night. The art of bribery and why you're terrible at it. By now, you've realized there's an ancient Silk Road tradition that isn't recorded in scrolls. Bribery. Not optional. You learn the currency of corruption. Copper for random guards, silver for checkpoint bosses, gold for that one monk who won't let you leave unless you cleanse your aura, small mirrors and shiny beads for everyone else who likes being flattered by glitter. Bribery is a delicate dance. Too little? You're insultingly cheap. Too much? You just became the next walking ATM on the route. You start carrying bribe kits, a bag of random coins, an emergency chicken, a forged document that says, totally legal trader, please be nice. Your translator does most of the talking now. You do most of the sweating. Inside the caravan. Welcome to Suspicion City. Remember your caravan buddies? Those quirky characters from earlier? Yeah. Now they're eyeing your stuff. You've noticed. Your bag of raisins keeps getting lighter. That bolt of silk? Gone. Your left sandal? Replaced with one 2 sizes smaller and suspiciously blood-stained. One guy keeps volunteering to guard duty. Every night he stands watch, and something disappears. You confront him. He says, bandits. You say, there were no bandits. He says, you were sleeping. How would you know? You say, I will kill you with this spoon. The monk suggests a prayer. You suggest a new spoon-based religion where justice is served, hot and pointy. Suspicion becomes your love language. By now, you don't trust the guards, your own caravan, your own memory, and definitely not that woman who offered you tea and asked where you're headed. You lie constantly now. About where you're from, what you're carrying, what your camel's name is. It's Thunderpants. But they don't need to know. You start hiding your valuables in layers. Coins in your boots, gems in the stitching of your shirt. 1 gold coin in a dried fig that you hope no one eats. You share nothing. Your smiles are weaponized politeness. Your conversations are defensive Olympic sports. You sleep with your coin pouch under your tongue. You wake up choking on it. Trust no one, not even yourself. Someone asks where you're headed. You say, nowhere. They ask what you're trading. You say, dreams. They laugh. You don't. You're pretty sure one of your guards is passing info to someone else. You've seen him whispering at night. He says he's praying. You say, to what? The god of logistics? You're certain your cook is an assassin and no one stirs lentil stew that silently. Your camel? Could be ASPY at this point. You wouldn't be surprised. And yet, The trade continues despite the bribes, the theft, the 3-day silent war over who stole your comb. Trade marches on. You sell a bit of spice. Buy some silver thread. Trade a damaged roll of silk for 2 bundles of something vaguely aromatic. You start keeping ledgers written in code. Page 1. Sold saffron, possibly cursed, will confirm later. Page 2. Avoid Fatima the rug seller. Which or worse, good at haggling. Page 3. May have bartered my soul for raisins. TBD. You laugh. Your camel farts. You take it as agreement. You thought it was over? Ah. Politics joins the party. Just when you've accepted betrayal as the new normal, politics enters. Each city along the Silk Road is run by a different governor, a different army, a different idea of what taxable goods means. You enter one town flying a merchant banner from your last checkpoint. The guard at the gate says, "Ah, a spy." You say, "No, a traitor." He says, "Close enough." You pay a clarification fee. Next town. They speak a dialect that turns "hello" into "I challenge your horse to combat." You pay an apology tax. You pass a border post with papers signed by someone named Dorgan the Kind. Turns out he died. Now the guards call him Dorgan the Traitor. You pay a posthumous loyalty fee. You ask if you can just walk through silently. They say, only if you're invisible. The rule is simple. Survive first. Profit later. You're not trying to get rich anymore. You're trying to not get stabbed, not get cursed, not get married to someone you accidentally complimented in the bazaar. Your pouch is lighter. Your nerves are frayed. Your camel now walks ahead of you like it's the leader. You let it. Maybe it is. You no longer care if you smell like goat cheese and regret. You're still moving, still trading, still paranoid, and somehow still alive. For now. Bazaar of chaos. Where deals, delusions, and diarrhea collide. UVE made it. After months of camel hate crimes, mountain trauma, and being robbed politely with a smile, you finally stumble into the city. You're not even sure which one. Samarkand? Bokhara? Kashgar? At this point, anything with walls and a bathhouse that doesn't scream is considered heaven adjacent. Your caravan rolls through the gates like a wounded centipede. You smell like goat sweat and distant trauma. Your knees creak when you blink. Your camel looks ready to unionize. You whisper to yourself, "This is it. This is where I make my fortune." The Silk Road hears you and laughs. City welcome party. Bureaucracy and body odor first thing that greets you at the city gate. Paperwork. You're met by guards in fur-trimmed armor and egos even thicker than their mustaches. Papers? They demand. You hand over your stamped permits, sealed, signed, and sprinkled with your last ounce of hope. They squint. They consult a list. They look back at you and ask, "Do you have clearance to transport poultry-scented fabric?" You blink. They blink. A standoff. Finally, your translator slips a coin into the conversation. "Ah, yes. Now I see it," says the guard. They let you through. You're already down 3 silver coins, 1 bribe smile, and any expectation of dignity. The city. A sensory assault. The moment you pass the gates, your brain explodes. The city is a fever dream of commerce and confusion. Minarets stab the sky like glittering daggers. Smoke wafts from food stalls, incense, forges, and probably someone's underpants. The air smells like cumin, dung, and something hauntingly floral that might be poisoned. Bathwater? Children sprint through alleyways. Monks chant. Merchants scream. Someone's selling dyed sheep. Someone else is selling dragon teeth. You're 99% sure it's goat bones. You see a monkey wearing earrings. You are 0% surprised. The bazaar. Capitalism with knives. Welcome to the bazaar, where logic goes to die and take your wallet with it. This isn't a marketplace. This is arena combat with price tags. Every merchant is an actor, a liar, a magician. Every deal is a performance, and you, dear trader, are underprepared and overconfident. You set up your stall. Your goods include silk, creased and slightly cursed, dried apricots, 2 of them definitely fermented, a small decorative dagger, possibly still evidence in a murder trial. You display them with pride. A local glances over. He sneers. Ah yes, the silk of disappointment, he says. You smile, wounded. Another man offers to buy your cinnamon. You name your price. He fakes a seizure and accuses you of sorcery. A monk passes by and blesses your camel. It immediately poops. Haggling. The blood sport of the Silk Road. Every deal is war. You name a fair price. They laugh like you just proposed to their goat. You lower it. They insult your ancestry. You lower it again. They offer you a pebble and a dead beetle in return. Eventually, you trade 1 bolt of silk for half a loaf of stale bread and a promise you know will be broken. A small ruby for a pot of yogurt that looks legally edible. A decorative spoon for a very energetic ferret. You name him. Trevor. He escapes within the hour. You are not winning. You are barely surviving. Your translator is now your therapist. Your translator, poor guy, is now your business partner, your lawyer, and your emotional support human. He's overworked, underpaid, and has started twitching every time someone says the word permit. He once translated a compliment into an accidental marriage proposal. You now have a wife. You don't know her name. You haven't seen her since the ceremony. She might be a scam. You don't ask. You just keep trading. Food. Looks delicious, feels fatal. You smell it before you see it. Street food. Heavenly. Sizzling meats. Honey-soaked pastries. Tandoor bread hot enough to slap sense into you. You cave. 1 bite of grilled lamb. 1 roasted apricot. 1 suspiciously shiny pastry. It's divine. For 10 minutes. Then, your stomach sends a telegram. You made a mistake. You spend the next 6 hours in a public latrine that makes the Taklamakan seem friendly. You whisper apologies to a bucket. You question your life choices. Your camel waits outside, chewing with judgment. You emerge, lighter, in every way. Lodging. The art of lowering standards. You search for a room. Your options. A shared hayloft with 6 men and 2 lice colonies. A bunk over a candle shop that smells like regret. A room with a private bath. Read. Leaking jug of water and a rag. You choose the loft. You lie on straw. You cuddle your coin pouch like it's your firstborn. Someone snores loud enough to startle your camel. 2 streets away. You don't sleep. You tolerate horizontal suffering. City politics. Smile, nod, survive. The local governor is friendly, which means he hasn't executed anyone this week. His tax collectors roam like wolves with ledgers. They fine you for selling in the wrong dialect, using an unauthorized measuring spoon, smiling too confidently. You lose 10% of your stock, 30% of your will, and 100% of your respect for bureaucracy. You smile, you bow, you bribe, because the only thing worse than corrupt officials is being noticed by them. You sold everything, sort of. Eventually, after dozens of humiliating negotiations, a one-eyed man offering to bless your spices for a fee, and a child trying to sell you your own shoes. You sell enough to make some coin. You do the math. After bribes, lodging, food, and medicine for the apricot incident, you've earned enough to buy a goat, at a very skinny goat, who coughs and might have fleas. You name her Prophet. Time to go home, right? You pack up. You limp toward the city gates. Then someone asks, "So, when are you heading back?" You stare at them. You've just survived a nightmare in 87 acts. And yet, they're right. You didn't come all this way just to leave empty-handed. You came to trade both ways, and you've still got one saddlebag left, full of dreams and raisins, mostly raisins.